I have a son. He's 5.
My name is David, and I'm a person who likes certainty. I plan my weeks down to the minute. I know what I want for dinner 3 days in advance. I've been single for 4 years by choice, waiting for the right person, the right moment, the right circumstances. When my best friend finally convinced me to download a dating app, I treated it like a business proposal, careful, methodical, with clear expectations. Sarah's profile made sense to me. She was 32, a graphic designer, loved hiking and books and dark coffee. We matched on a Thursday morning. By Friday night, we were texting about everything from our favorite authors to whether pineapple belonged on pizza. By Sunday, she suggested coffee. I wore a blue button-down that I knew flattered my eyes. I arrived exactly 5 minutes early, ordered a black coffee, and sat at a small table by the window. I was nervous, but it was a good kind of nervous, the anticipatory kind, like standing at the edge of something potentially wonderful. And then she walked in. Sarah was even prettier than her photos. She had auburn hair that fell to her shoulders, and she wore a cream-colored sweater that made her look both approachable and elegant. She smiled when she saw me, a real smile, not the polite one I'd become used to from other first dates. She walked over and sat down across from me, tucking her hair behind her ear as she settled into the chair. "Hi," she said, slightly breathless, like she walked faster than she'd meant to. "I'm so glad you're real. Like, you didn't use a photo from 2015 or anything." I laughed. "I could say the same about you. How was your drive?" "Easy," she said, flagging down the barista to order a chai latte. "I actually live pretty close by. About 10 minutes away." We fell into conversation easily, almost too easily. She was funny in a way that caught me off guard, making jokes about her own life, asking genuine questions about mine, actually listening to the answers. An hour passed like it was 10 minutes. We talk about our jobs, our families, a terrible movie we'd both seen. She told me about the time she accidentally dyed her hair purple trying to fix a bad cut, and I told her about the time I got lost hiking and had to be rescued by a group of Girl Scouts. I was completely absorbed in her. Everything about this felt right. And then, just as I was thinking about how to ask for a second date, her expression changed. Not dramatically, just a subtle shift, like she'd made a decision about something. She reached for her chai, took a sip, and set it down carefully. "So," she said, and her voice was different now. Quieter, more serious. "I have to tell you something. And I want to do it now, on this first date, because I think you deserve to know before this goes any further." My stomach tightened. My mind immediately went through a catalog of possibilities. She was married. She was getting married. She was moving. She wasn't actually single. She was actually a person from an alternate dimension sent to confuse me. "Okay," I said carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. "Tell me." She looked directly at me, and I could see her gathering her courage. "I have a son. He's 5. His name is Lucas." The words hung in the air between us. I blinked, processing. A son. A 5-year-old son. That detail had been conspicuously absent from every conversation we'd had over the past 72 hours. And more pressingly, it was absent from her dating profile. I started, then stopped, restarted. "I didn't see that on your profile." "I know," Sarah said quietly. "I know that's not great. But I put the app on my phone after my friend basically staged an intervention because I haven't gone on a date in 2 years. I left it blank because I was scared. I was scared that nobody would match with me, and I was scared that if they did, they'd disappear the second they found out. So I decided to wait, to have a conversation first, to see if there was actual chemistry, and then to be honest." She paused, wrapping her hands around her chai. "That's not an excuse," she continued. "It's just the truth. And I'm telling you now because I like you, and you seem genuinely good, and you deserve to know what you're potentially getting into before you decide if you want to see me again." I sat back in my chair. I could feel my carefully ordered worldview shifting. This wasn't part of the plan. I thought I was meeting someone uncomplicated, someone whose life aligned with mine in a neat, organized way. A 5-year-old didn't fit into that picture. "Okay," I said, needing a moment. "Can I ask the father?" Not in the picture, Sarah said simply. He wasn't ready for a kid when I got pregnant. He's paid child support, but has never met Lucas. It's just been the two of us for 5 years. And you're looking for... I paused, trying to find the right words. What? Someone to be a stepdad? Someone to date you despite the kid? I'm trying to understand what the expectation is here. Sarah flinched slightly at my tone, but she didn't look away. The expectation is nothing. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just being honest. If you want to leave right now, you can. I'll understand. I've had this conversation happen before. Guys say nice things and then they just disappear, so I won't be hurt if you do. But something about the way she said that, so resigned, so used to people leaving, made me feel suddenly terrible. Here was this woman who'd been brave enough to go on a date, who'd shown up despite being terrified, who was owning her choices even though she knew they might cost her this connection. And I was sitting here reacting like she'd lied to me, when really she was just trying to protect herself. I'm not leaving, I said slowly. I'm just processing. This is a lot of information. I know, Sarah said, and I know I sprung it on you, but I couldn't keep lying by omission. That felt worse. We sat in silence for a moment. The cafe noise continued around us, the hiss of the espresso machine, conversations, the clink of cups. But between us, there was this quiet space where everything was shifting. Tell me about him, I said finally. Lucas. Sarah's entire face changed. This was relief, but more than that, this was a permission to talk about the thing she clearly loved most in the world. She started, then laughed a little. God, where do I start? He's 5 going on 30. He's obsessed with dinosaurs. He's been dinosaurs for like 8 months now. Last month he was superheroes. The month before that was space. He's got this laugh that sounds like a tiny pterodactyl. He's smart and funny, and sometimes he says things that just break my heart because they are so honest. He drew me a picture last week. It was him and me and a person he called my friend David, even though you don't exist yet in his world. His preschool teacher says he's got such a good heart. He shares his snacks with kids who forget theirs. She paused, taking a breath, and I could see tears threatening at the corners of her eyes. And here's the best thing that ever happened to me, she continued, even though it was terrifying and I was so young, and I had no idea what I was doing. He made me braver, stronger. Here's the reason I have any sense of self at all. I listened to her talk about her son. I watched the love in her eyes. And I realized something. I'd been thinking about this all wrong. I'd been treating this like a complication, like Sarah was damaged goods because she had a kid. But she wasn't asking me to instantly become a father. She was just asking me to know the truth about her life. And the truth was that she was someone who loved deeply, who made sacrifices, who showed up for the people she cared about. I'm not going to leave, I said, and I meant it with more certainty than I'd felt about anything in a long time. I'm not promising I'll be perfect at this. I don't have experience with kids. I'll probably be awkward, but I'd like to see you again. And if things progress, I'd like to meet Lucas. Not because I'm trying to be a hero or because I'm trying to fix anything. Just because you're someone worth knowing, and your life is worth knowing, and that includes him. Sarah's eyes widened. Really? Really? I said, but I have a question. Yeah. Can I take you to dinner next weekend? And maybe the weekend after, if you have a babysitter. Could I meet Lucas? Nothing formal. Maybe just ice cream or something casual. She nodded, and I watched her eyes fill with genuine tears. She reached across the table and took my hand. Yes, she whispered. Yes to all of that. 3 months later, I was sitting on the floor of Sarah's living room, helping Lucas build a dinosaur out of Lego blocks. He was explaining to me with great authority why the Triceratops was the smartest dinosaur and why the T-Rex was basically a jerk. See, the Triceratops has 3 horns, he explained, pointing at his creation. So he's got 3 chances to be right about things. But the T-Rex only gets 2 tries, so is always cranky. That's actually pretty logical, I said, trying not to laugh. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, Lucas said with absolute certainty. You have to think about dinosaur feelings more. Sarah came in with juice boxes and cookies. When she saw us together on the floor, she smiled that smile I'd come to recognize as the one she reserved for her happiest moments. She sat down next to me, close enough that her leg brushed mine. Later that night, after Lucas was asleep, Sarah and I sat on the couch watching the city lights through her apartment window. "I was so scared to tell you," she said quietly. "When we first met, I thought you'd bolt." "I almost did," I admitted. "But then I listened to you talk about him, and I realized something." "What?" "That plans are overrated," I said. "I spent 4 years waiting for the perfect scenario, the right timing, someone who fit into my carefully organized life. And then you came along and messed all of that up, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me." She leaned her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her. Through the wall, I could hear Lucas mumbling something about dinosaurs in his sleep, and I thought about how life never turns out the way you expect it to. But sometimes, if you're brave enough to embrace the unexpected, it turns out better. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more heartfelt tales, and drop a comment letting us know where you're listening from. We'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Thanks for being part of the Unscripted Hearts community.